Welcome to Opening the Door to the Unknown with your host, Dr. Clark Schmidt. Hello, and welcome to the studio of Opening the Door to the Unknown. I'm your host, Dr. Clark Schmidt. What is Mystery School Thought? Is it something that anybody can learn? Or are there only initiates, people who are asked to go into the doors and learn, or being revealed, let me say, being revealed to the mysteries, the secrets of the universe? Well, in a sense, it is. The mysteries are revealed to those who have become initiated as to gaining that particular knowledge. And why? Why do those who chose to become initiates join a mystery school? So they can learn, gain knowledge about not only of themselves, but of universe, and go out and teach. Like Jesus was in a mystery school, and he went out and taught by the secret chiefs or the great masters. And there was always three chiefs. There was always three chiefs that either created a mystery school or taught in a mystery school to the initiate, who then became adepts. Like the chiefs became adepts. But why always three? Well, I feel that three represents thought, word, and deed, or divine perfection. Three can also represent parts of the body: the head, the upper part, and the lower part. I'm going to talk a little bit about three in relationship to the body: the head, the upper part, and the lower part, to get into that divine perfection with the universe, or with universe, or with universal laws. When a person went into a mystery school, there we go. When a person went into a mystery school, they were taught that we do not only reside in the microcosm, but we also can reside in the macrocosm as well. Now you say, how can a person reside in the macrocosm and also reside in the macrocosm? it's very, I hate to say it, but it's very simple. If you ever heard the expression, as above the macro, so below the micro. But, but, let's end that statement, which a lot of people don't. Okay? Let's say this. As above the macrocosm, so below the microcosm, so below the micro, to as above. And I'll show you how that works. Okay, I'll show you here. If I have a piece of paper, yes, I do. Okay. As you can see here, right here, you see like an S. As above, so below. But now, let's finish. Oh, there we go. As below, so above. And once you complete the statement, as below, so below, as below, so above, you make the figure 8. Now, if you turn the figure 8 to its side, now what is it? It's the infinity symbol. So you can reside in the microcosm and also the macrocosm at the same time. But the idea is, but here's the little trick, and this is what the initiate learned, is how to get out of the micro as to move into the macro. How to get out of the micro to get into the macro, to get into universal, to get into what I call is the universal playground. Working with the cosmic consciousness. All right. This is what people, and this is what the initiate was taught by one of the secret chiefs, as how to gain that knowledge. And once that knowledge was gained, that initiate became an adept and then went out and taught. Just again like Jesus went out and taught after he became an adept by learning Mystery School Thought. All right? So, pretend that you're an initiate and you wanted to come into my mystery school. So you knock on the door and you keep knocking until somebody from the inside hears the banging and investigates where that banging is coming from. They open the door and there you are, and you say is, I would like to become initiate. I want to learn mystery. I want to learn the mysteries. I want to become that divine perfection, that the creator, the source, the one, the cosmic consciousness wanted us to become. Not saying to become like him as a god, because that will never happen. But how to become perfect, how to reside into a higher plane of existence, the spiritual plane, one plane, one step up before you get to to where you get to the cosmic consciousness. Nobody will ever reach the final rung of the ladder, but you come damn close. If you want to learn how to get to that closeness as you climb the steps or the rungs of that ladder. Okay? And so you want to learn, you want to become the initiate. And so you say, I want to study. I want to study mystery school. I want to study mystery school thought. I want to be taught the mysteries, how I can obtain perfection. The gentleman who opened the door says, step inside and follow me. So he leads you through doors until finally he points to a seat and he says, sit down. And you do. And you're looking around and you're saying, have I made a mistake, or do I want to continue? What is this? How am I going to obtain perfection? Is this teacher that great to give me that knowledge so I can drink it in, so I can learn and do more study? And the answer finally comes to you, yes. That's the reason why you are there, sitting in that seat, and then all of a sudden you hear like voices behind you, and all of a sudden there's a rush of other initiates coming in, and they're sitting down. Okay? It's just like if you want to learn karate. You go and check out a karate school. It might be Taekwondo, it might be Gung Fu, it might be Kung Fu, it might be Jeet Kune Do, it might be Hapkido, Aikido, it might be, I'm trying to think of the kicking, the French kicking, the Savat. So you check out all these schools and you say, I want to take up Taekwondo for an example. Now you want to find the best teacher, your sensei, the master. Because the more proficient that master is in his style of karate, is that you are definitely going to learn self-defense. So you finally find that. So you finally find the school, and you find the teacher, and you sit down and you have a talk with him or her, and you decide to try it out. Well, you become a white belt, the initiate, or the neophyte. And as the neophyte, you're going to be learning. You're going to be learning like blocks and kicks, and maybe a few combinations. Then you're going to learn kata, and then after 3 months, you're going to take a test. You're either going to pass or you're going to fail. But if you have the dedication and the devotion to learn Taekwondo, you're going to pass the test. And even if you don't pass the test, instead of getting just a full color belt from white to yellow, you get from white to a yellow stripe, which means is that you're proficient but not proficient enough, so you still have to learn a little bit more. You retake the test, and then you get your yellow belt, and then you learn. Now you have gone one step. You started from the first rung of the ladder. Now you have climbed to the second rung, which is the yellow belt. Okay? And you just continue climbing up. And it will take you years. It's not going to be just 3, 4, 5, 6 months or a year. It might take you 5 years to reach second degree brown belt. Even with all the devotion and dedication that you put into the study of Taekwondo. And that's just like Mystery School Thought, is that you learn basics and then you take the next step up, and then the next step up, and the next step up, and the next step up. Okay? So, let me talk about a little bit what the microcosm represents to you. The microcosm represents to you as the lower self, the lower mind. The finite of thoughts, words, and deeds. Again, 3, the number 3. All right? And you find out by having lived in the lower mind, the lower self, is that you really haven't progressed. Now, what do I mean by that? You haven't progressed? Simple. Because the lower self, the lower mind, represents desires, personal power, hate, fear, and sometimes depression. You might get one, or you might get all of them. And what has caused the desires, the personal power, the hate, the fear, and depression, is the ego. E-G-O, representing, edging God out. Once a person edges God out, and this uses the ego for personal power, money. The more money that you want to have, the more power that you obtain. What's the old expression? Money is the root of all evil. Money is power. You can buy people off. Personal power. Desires. If I got, again, I'm going to use the example of money. If you have a lot of money, say like Bill Gates or Warren Buffett, for an example, is that you want desires. And what are those desires? It can be anything. Women, cars, homes, travel, you name it. You will receive it because why? You can buy it. And what about hate? How does hate fit in with, say again, with personal power or with desires, with money, for example? All right, is that you might hate everybody around you because they are not to your standards. They are not your equals. You look down upon them. I got this, but you don't have what I got, and so that's so. Why should I even? I think about you, but it's in a negative way. The more that I can take from you, the more I will have. The more that I will have. Are you beginning to follow here how this begins to work? And then fear. Oh my God, is that you put a lot of money into the stock, you put a lot of money into the stock market. You got money in the bank. You might have money offshore. And you always have fear. And what's that fear? IRS. Is the IRS going to come in and audit me? And if they found out I've been cheating on my taxes, what's going to happen? Are they going to take away my money? Are they going to fine me? Are they going to put me in jail? And then I have to get lawyers. And how much is that going to cost me to represent me so I don't go to jail or have to pay a big fine? Fear. And last is depression. Oh, I'm so depressed. The IRS just socked me with $150 million. Oh my God. $150 million I could be, I lost. That's $150 million less than what I had. Oh, I lost money in the stock market. Oh, jeez. I lost $300 million in the stock market. Or I lost my money because somebody hacked my bank account. Fear. All on account of you edging God out with the damn ego that's in the way. Now, I'm not saying that the ego is not useful, because it is. It's that little something that's instilled in us all that gives you that kick in the ass to get us moving. But once you have begun that move and to begin to establish yourself, is that you shelve the ego. You shelve the ego. You don't need the ego anymore. And if you do, then all of a sudden you're going to have again major problems, again desires, personal power, hate, fear, and depression. It's that simple. That is residing in the lower self, the lower mind. You are finite. But then you have a way of breaking away from the microcosm of the self, spelled with the small s, self, again with the lower mind, with the finite, and begin to work your way up into the macrocosm, into the playground, the universal playground, the cosmic sandbox, you might say, to where you have expanded out. Okay? And again, it's like a ladder with the rungs. And I'll show you. All right? And how do we get from the microcosm, which has the limitations, to where we get into the macrocosm, which again is the cosmic playground, to where you expand, and again it's going with the ladder to getting to the roof, you might say. So let's just say is that the first rung of the ladder is knowledge. Then comes illumination. Then comes wisdom. And then enlightenment. So it's again, it's just like in karate, you start out with a white belt, yellow, green, purple, green, purple, brown, and then getting to black. You don't go from white to black belt. All right? You don't go from white to black belt. And again, to get into the cosmic playground, to get into your higher self or higher will, as you can see, that's spelled with a capital S, is to use will, is to begin to work with will power. Once you get into enlightenment, then you are working with willpower to will what you want. It's not desires. It's really not desires anymore. Okay? It's like when we pass over. It's like when we pass over into spirit. Yes, we might stay in the lower astral for a while because we have to learn. We have to learn that the wants and desires are now gone. Unless you're like, unless you watch the movie Ghost, where you see some of the spirits, with that one guy was saying, "It's I wish I had a cigarette," or I wish I had a drink, or I wish I had cocaine or heroin, or I wish I had 12 prostitutes. You still have the wants and the try it again. You still have the wants and the desires, but guess what? Sooner or later, once you begin to gain spiritual knowledge, to climb the ladder, the rungs of the ladder, those are going to dissipate because now you're starting to move up. You're not down here anymore. Now you've gone another rung up the ladder. Okay? And you just continue again, and you just continue moving up like you did in the martial arts. You start out as a white belt until you got to a black belt. Unless you decide that you're getting tired of the martial arts and you decide to reach a particular belt, might be a first degree brown belt, and you decide, hey, that's it. I don't want to be a student, but now I want to begin to teach. All right? Mystery school. The the initiate now wants to begin to teach because they made that first degree brown belt like Jesus did. He made the first degree. Or he became enlightened. There's not too many people here either going back thousands of centuries or to the as right now. There's not too many people that have become enlightened. Pope Francis is enlightened. The Dalai is enlightened. Let's see. I'm trying to think. You might have somebody might have said Sister Teresa became enlightened. They all gave up their worldly goods, those desires, the personal power. All right, they gave up. They got out of the They got out of the microcosm, out of the lower mind, and moved up to the higher will, the higher self. Okay, and like I said, it can be done, but it takes a long time to do it. Again, it's just not like finding that martial arts school of Taekwondo, talking to the teacher, and begin going to classes, going to classes. You have to learn. You have to study. You have to have the dedication. You have to have the devotion. You have to shed. All right. You have to shed like a snake. You got to get rid of all that old skin, and so the new, so you are revitalized from the old to the new. Okay, you got rid of the ego. That's what Mystery School Thought was and is, if you find the right teacher to teach you. Okay, there's a lot of people out there that say is, well, yeah, I got him, yeah. Um, I teach the mysteries. We call it the esoterics. I also teach the metaphysics. And yes, you do get a degree. Just like if you were taking, just like if you were in a 4-year college or university you're in a 4-year college or university setting. Okay, but here's the difference. A lot of them are full of shit. Okay, a lot of them are full. Try it again. A lot of them are full of shit. I know. I met them. I talked to them, and they didn't know their nose between their ears. They didn't know if the ear was here as the nose, and the nose was the ear. And I'm being polite about, instead of getting into some four-letter words. Okay, so yeah, there's a fake thought. Excuse me. There we go. So yes, there are the fakes, frauds, and phonies out there, and you have to watch. You have to listen to what they talk about. There's a lot of times that I'm half asleep when Coast to Coast comes on with George Norrie, and some of the people that think that they know the subject matter that they're talking about on Coast, they're fooling the people. And when I hear crap coming out of their mouth at the radio station, is that I just want to call Norrie and try to dive into the phone, travel the phone line till I get to the station to wring the woman or guy's neck. All right. Now again, it's like I think it's like I'm not, like I used to teach and tell my class, I am not a walking encyclopedia. There is a lot of things that I do not know in the metaphysical. But also there's a lot that I do know. All right? And by what I hear is that I do know that they are full of crap. So you have to watch. So you just have to listen. You have to ask the right questions. It's like when you're in your karate class, is that you're sitting there, everybody's sitting around in the circle, and your instructor asks if you have any questions to throw out at him or her, as to gain the knowledge. Remember, everything is gaining, and what is a person gaining is the knowledge. The more knowledge you drink in, the more that you're going to become illuminated, and the more illuminated you become, then you're going to work up to wisdom, and the more wisdom, your own type of philosophy, is that you're going to become enlightened. That's the only way. That is the only way. It's the only direction. Up. It's not from lower rung to higher rung. And you don't climb each individual rungs to get to the top. If you try to go from the bottom rung to the top rung, you're in trouble. Believe me, you are in trouble. Okay, so again, that's what mystery school teaches. You have two words, objective and subjective. And in mystery school thought, by what you're being taught as an initiate, is that it's objective. Because you're learning. There are options. And the options are asking the questions. Where, say, like a person is in psychology and they're taking up parapsychology. Well, if a person is going to is taking up psychology to become a psychologist, and then learns and then begins to learn parapsychology, they already have answers to the questions: does the paranormal exist? And they will say, no, it doesn't. And why do they say that? Is because they are being subjective. For an example, a parapsychologist decides that he or she wants a reading, goes to a psychic, and the reading is, say, $15 for 20 minutes. And so the psychic is sitting opposite of the parapsychologist, and the parapsychologist says, okay, I'm here for a reading, give it to me, lay it out to me. Sort of psychic, takes a moment to get in the proper mode, and all of a sudden just starts throwing things out. Lip, 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 lip. Okay. Now the parapsychologist is beginning to drink all this, what he or she is throwing out. The reading the reading is done. The parapsychologist says it was a great reading, but you were generalizing. You weren't really giving me an in-depth detail of really what I wanted to know. And so, because you really didn't get into detail, it was a half-assed reading. Or the parapsychologist might say is, where did you get your information from? And the psychic says, well, I'm a clairaudient. Is that spirit was talking to me about you? And the parapsychologist, huh? Oh, a spirit was talking to you. You were actually hearing the spirit actually talk to you? Well, yeah, I'm a clairaudient. I have that particular ability. Okay. Hearing things. Right. Schizophrenic. began schizophrenic tendencies to hear things, hallucinations. Or the parapsychologist might say as to himself, he doesn't say it to the psychic, but well, he did ask me for my name, and since I am kind of well known in the university setting, is that he or she did some research on me before the reading. You're following me here? Or else it's a cold reading to where the psychic is having maybe some problems and so begins to ask questions, which is not unusual. It's just help if the psychic is on the right track. But now it's a cold reading because the psychic has to ask the questions, and the questions that are asked, you might give the answer, and that psychic will follow up. Aha! Now I know where to go with this. I can go this way. I could go that way because of what that person, just by one question that I asked. So now it's a cold reading. You see, they're being subjective. They're not being the parapsychologist is being subjective. They're not being objective. It's just like if a parapsychologist goes and investigates a haunted house, for an example, they will come with 100,000 rational explanations. Again, looking at the haunted house as being subjective instead of being objective. I'm not saying that all parapsychologists are subjective. There's a few of them that are very objective. Okay, but the ones that are subjective, you have to watch out for. I would never take them on a. I would never take them on a hunt. Never take them on a hunt because they're going to blow the. I mean, they're just going to be so damn negative. Is that you don't want any more negativity than what is already saying that's in that particular haunted location. And believe me, you can throw out good positive energies, or you can throw out the negative energies, and I'll be talking more about that later on. Not in this chapter. Okay. But anyways, that's what Mystery School Thought is. That's what metaphysics is. That's what esoteric science. That's what esoterics is compared to parapsychology. One is objective. One is being subjective. Which one would you go? I mean, for an example, if you wanted to really study, what would be your answer to? Do you want to be subjective in your training, or you want to be objective in your training? Of getting out of the lower mind, the lower self, the finite, moving into the infinite, getting into your true will, or into your true self. Okay. Not saying is that the lower mind is still not going to be around you. I'll give you a perfect example. My wife said to me many a time, she would say, you know, Clark, you are so, she said, she says, you reside in your higher self, in your higher will. You have to come down. Because there's a lot of people, when you're teaching, at the school with your students, there's a lot of them that kind of you lose them of what you're trying to convey, because they have come up to me and said, listen, Dr. Schmidt is a damn good teacher, but there's a lot of times is that he has just gone too far in what he's talking about, and he loses me. So my wife used to say, bring yourself down. Get back into the mundane, you know? You gotta live in the mundane once in a while. Not all the time, but just once in a while, so people know what you're trying to convey and how you are expressing that conveyance. So I'm learning how to bring myself down. And I think that I'm doing a somewhat fairly good job. I'm not saying it's a good job, but it's a fairly good job. At least now people can understand what the hell I'm talking about. Okay, so I thought I always like to use examples of me, because I am a good example. Okay. Let me think here real quick. All right. I think that I touched upon what I wanted to touch upon today. And I hope now that you do know, let me rephrase that. I hope that you have gained a little knowledge, okay, is to begin to climb the ladder upwards. Okay? That's the idea. And that's what Jesus was trying to convey. That's what the Dalai Lama is trying to convey. That's what Pope Francis is trying to convey. How to become enlightened. How to gain wisdom. I'll give you one quick story, because my producer is giving me a high sign. Is that you have two people, and they're going to go mountain climbing. All right? And they both look up, and they look down, and one takes out the rope with the grappling hook, and the other one is still standing there. The climber to the right, who has taken out the grappling hook, is ready to make the climb. So he twirls the thing, and he lobs it, and it catches, and all of a sudden he begins to climb. The person to the left hasn't done a damn thing yet. All right? Hasn't done a damn thing yet. So who's going to make it to the top of that mountain? The person who took the grappling hook out with the rope and started to swing it and then lobbed it to catch and start to climb, or the guy who is standing there? I can give you two answers with that. The person who is climbing the hard way up the mountain, compared to the person walks away and rents a helicopter and gets to the top, waiting for the person who's climbing up the mountain the hard way, but who has learned something. The person who got the helicopter to beat the person that is climbing, or the person who is climbing and the person who is climbing. It's the person who's climbing that up the mountain that is actually learning something. And with that, like I said, my producer is giving me the high sign here. Okay, so until next time, have a pleasant one. This has been a production of Opening the Door to the Unknown in association with Dr. Clark Schmidt. Copyright 2016.